some of y'all was arguing with me about the pamper. They was like, George didn't wear the pamper. This other dude did. Look, I'm reading the book. George Clinton said that he was wearing the pamper. It's only one person in the group that can wear a pamper. Can't two men wear a pamper? Hello there, Bellas. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share to Facebook, subscribe, and visit uptopbeauty.com. And if you are not already a part of this book club, please hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube, and for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes you, can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. For the paying book club members over there on Patreon and the paying book club members here on the YouTube, I'm sharing my trip back home with you guys. And when I start work, I'm going to be sharing my on my way to work videos. You know how I used to do like back in the day. Damn. So anyway, guys, let's get started. While Marvin started to use his art to express philosophical and theological feelings, I was witness to another major shift in music. It happened only a few blocks from where I lived on Trowbridge, at my old stopping grounds, Phelps Lounge on Oakland. George Clinton, who had once written for Motown, had the Parliaments, I Want to Testify, was the hit they were promoting during their gig at Phelps. Like all the guy groups at the time, they were dressed in standard show threads, slick silk suits, alligator shoes, processed dews. Funky as the devil, they put on a great show. We were booked for a week solid, but after the first night, something strange happened. George and his boys started dropping acid. I remember reading the George Clinton book. Okay, that was a good book too. The only thing about it was that I think his brain was a little off when George Clinton wrote that book. Go on over there to the playlist and check it out. Rick James told us in Glow that George Clinton was old dirty mother hunchy. Okay, that he was old full of the shenanigans. All right, when it comes down to him getting high. Because I know you like, Nay, we about to go to the left. Rickety James was selling cocaine at one time, and George Clinton would go to the Rickety James and be like, yeah, man, I can get you a deal if you want a deal. Just give me some of that good old boogity sugary that you got. Being a fool because Rick James looked up to George Clinton. Rick James felt that George Clinton saw him as competition. But Rick James looked at George Clinton as a mentor. George Clinton took full advantage of that. So every time he saw Rickety James, I know you still want to be a superstar in the funk world. You better give me some of that good boogity sugary. Eventually, Rickety James caught on to what George Clinton was doing. All right, he's showing his ass. Getting back to George Clinton in his book. What he said was they was down there performing to the uppity snuppities. And when they came out there tripping, dropping acid, all the uppity snuppities was like, they enjoyed the show. It was just so wild that they felt uncomfortable being so uppity snuppity. I can't be uppity snuppity while this dude jiggling in my face with a diaper on. I can't do that. Oh, but they enjoyed the show. On the first night before taking LSD, George wore his process in waves. By the second night, he was tripping. He soaked his head underwater so that his dew became undone. That was nothing compared to night 3. Instead of his usual razor-sharp suit, George came out wearing nothing but a diaper held by a big pen. Everyone in the club screamed. What was the crazy mother effer doing? Making you uppity snuppity feel uncomfortable. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to shock and awe. Ain't you bitches shocking and awing? Some of y'all was arguing with me about the pamper. They was like, George didn't wear the pamper. This other dude did. Look, I'm reading the book. George Clinton said that he was wearing the pamper. It's only one person in the group that can wear a pamper. Can't two men wear a pamper in the group? George gave me some acid, and decades later, I'm still having flashbacks. I never took it again, but George got deeper into it. Just watching him, I could feel myself tripping. Between the gig at Phelps and another 10 days at the 20 grand, I witnessed the birth of psychedelic funk. Yeah. And then George Clinton said the reason why it was called funk, because when you be dropping that acid, you get the squirt so bad and it be smelling so funky. Norman Whitfield, that nasty Motown producer, witnessed it as well. He was there every night taking notes. He knew that George was reacting to the crazy changes happening in the youth culture. The explosion caused by the hippies, who said as far as style goes that the sky was the limit. If Jimi Hendrix could kiss the sky and burn up his guitar on stage, George wasn't going to be left behind. George had the foresight and guts to take it to the next level. Funk didn't have to be restricted to the past. Funk could be the future. So he had his band put on futuristic outfits and under a banner of different names: Parliament, Funkadelic, P-Funk. Clinton blazed a new trail in Detroit at about the same time Sly and the Family Stone were carrying on in California. Them mother hunchies got funky together, all right. Let me tell you my favorite George Clinton song. Oh my goodness, the funkiest, to this day, the funkiest George Clinton song, and I'm calling it George Clinton because it's, you know, the umbrella. I don't know what song or what group this song came from, you know, because it was like 100 of them. But my favorite George Clinton song is Cosmic Slop. And what is it? Shit Goddamn Get Off Your Ass and Jam. Ooh, that guitar solo. Ooh, magnanimous. Yikes. Following George's lead, Whitfield went to the studio and came out with his psychedelic productions for The Temptations with Dennis Edwards, who'd been singing around town for years, replacing David Ruffin. Whitfield managed to follow Sly and Clinton into the age of Aquarius with his big hits for the Temps, like Cloud 9, I Can't Get Next to You, and Ball of Confusion. While Clinton and Whitfield were listening to Sly Stone, I was listening to Kenny Rogers and the First Edition. I liked my version of What Condition My Condition Is In, but Jim Lewis didn't. He never liked any of my records. He didn't think they did me justice. But when he learned that Kenny Rogers was coming to the 20 grand, he was sharp enough to urge me to meet him and play him my interpretation of his hit. And what am I supposed to do? Slip backstage and give him my record? I asked Jim. Exactly. Why don't you do that? Because you have a better looking booty than I do. Jim accompanied me to Kenny's dressing room. It was a good meeting. Well, I'm calling my brother right now. He's down in Nashville starting a new label. Hey, Leland, have you heard of a singer called Bettye LaVette? Leland Rogers was excited. The way Wexler took Aretha to Muscle Shoals, I'm taking you to Memphis. You heard of Jim Dickinson? He got him a rhythm section down there with Charlie Freeman on guitar. That's on fire. They're gonna burn you up. Burn, baby, burn was all I could say. Sounds of Memphis, the studio where we worked, had a different vibe than studios in Detroit and New York. Punctuality was not a priority. Neither was preparation. Not to criticize, because the fooling around was fun. The fooling around created some sweet funk. Wexler understood that when he stole the Muscle Shoals rhythm section for Aretha from Rick Hall's Fame label and brought them to Atlantic, later he'd do the same thing with these boys I started working with. Jim, Charlie, Tommy McClure on bass, Sammy Creason on drums, and Michael Utley on organ. After Wexler landed in Miami, he recruited Dickinson's band to Criterion Studios. They renamed themselves the Dixie Flyers and eventually became Chris Christopherson's band. Fine ass Chris Christopherson. Ooh, the white man. We were all convinced we'd found the right song. He made a woman out of me. A rough and tough anthem about a girl born on a levee, a little bit south of Montgomery. At 16, Joe Henry comes up the river and makes a woman of the girl. I related. It was an unapologetic, no-holds-barred story of a sweet deflowering. The horn punches were bright and clean. The lead vocal was convincing, and Leland Rogers deemed it a hit. It reached number 25 on the R&B chart and looked like it would cross over to the pop side when someone said they'd heard the song on white radio, sung by someone else. Who, I asked? Bobby Gentry. 2 years earlier, Gentry had a smash with Ode to Billy Joe. When I heard her version of He Made a Woman Out of Me, though, I knew I had outsung her. I knew I had a hit. But the radio station started banning my version because of a semi-sexy line in the song. You know who else had that problem? Etta James. I forgot the name of the song. If somebody remember the song, put it down. But Etta James did a good version, but it had some controversial lyrics. And somebody else did the song and cleaned it up. And their song went further, not because it was better, but just because it was cleaner. They took that line out of Gentry's version, so hers got played. She got the hit. I'm still mad. Years later, when I was asked to sing on a Bobby Gentry tribute album, I said, hell no, motherfucker. But Leland was determined to get me over. He didn't give up. He found a song he was certain would work. Do Your Duty. Unfortunately, Do Your Duty did nothing. Well, said Leland, if Wexler can make money getting Aretha to sing Willie Nelson's Nightlife, I think you can sell the hell out of a Joe South's Games People Play. What did you say? What was I supposed to say? I said yes. Leland loved everything I did. He was going to put out a series of singles, including my version of Take Another Little Piece of My Heart. Money Man Shelby Singleton had bought Let Me Down Easy from Kala and was going to group it with these recent recordings in what would be my first album. Leland disappeared, and another set of grandiose schemes in which I would take my rightful place in the golden age of soul went awry. Local label man and Ahmet Aredigan's running buddy Ollie McLaughlin never gave up on me. Ollie took me into the studio to cut Neil Young's Heart of Gold. Rudy Robinson wrote an arrangement that scared me to death. That's how good it was. Betty, said Ollie in his slight English accent, this is the one. The music-loving public was eating up albums. Marvin Gaye's What's Going On was called the best album of all time. Some of my best friends in the business, the OJs, were putting out albums with Gamble and Huff in Philly. Where are my albums? Heart of Gold is the ticket, baby. You just wait and see. I didn't wait long. You're sitting down, Betty? Asked Ollie over the phone. Is the news that bad? I asked. It's good. Ahmet heard Heart of Gold. He flipped the fuck out. He's sending you to Muscle Shoals. With Jerry Wexler? Wexler's in Florida. He doesn't go to Muscle Shoals anymore. The boy who's tearing it up in Muscle Shoals is Brad Shapiro. The guy who just did Don't Knock My Love for Wilson Pickett. That's right. Went number one. Shapiro's hot as a firecracker. So you're talking about an album, not just a bunch of singles, right? In the winter of 1972, I flew to Muscle Shoals and met Brad Shapiro. You ready to sing, he asked. You ready with the songs? Here they are. Listen to them and see if you like them. I loved them.